Welcome to BIA, Canada's top black media provider. Whether you're looking for shows on fashion, art, music, or simple lifestyle, we bring you the best content the black community in Canada has to offer and so much more. And better yet, do you have an idea for a project you'd like us to help you with? We provide equipment, studio, and office space, as well as a team of dedicated individuals to help you bring those ideas to life. So don't wait. Check out our new website at biamedia.ca for more information on how to contact us and start creating today. BIA Media, your way.
All right, welcome to our second episode of In the Black, Getting Black to Business, where we celebrate our melanated merchants. My name is Grantley Othniel Adams, and I'm the president at Live Lending Group, Canada's best platform for unsecured commercial loans from $5,000 to $500,000 within 24 hours. Just a simple DocuSign application, the last 6 to 12 months of business or bank or merchant statements to determine a business's qualified amount and rate. Now, I'm so happy to have everybody here because we have a very, very, very special guest, someone that I've been talking to for a while now and really respect as a business owner. And I consider her the beauty studio boss, okay? She has one of the busiest, well-known beauty studios in Toronto, located at 647 Mount Pleasant Road, Unit 3, Toronto, Ontario, okay? Now, they do facials, makeup services, eyelash services, waxing, nail, body contouring services, massage services. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, right, you will know. If you don't know, now you know, right? Because her name is Ophelia Maquillage. Ophelia,
hey.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah. How did you like your intro?
That was an intensive intro. I was like, who is he talking about again? I was a little nervous. I was like, oh my gosh.
It's true though. It's true. I mean, yeah. Like I've talked to you before. You're one of the most accomplished, beauty studio business owners that I talked to already. And I mean, the reviews speak for themselves, right? The reviews speak for themselves. Just taking a look at your website, OpheliaMaquillage.com, I can tell, that it's really well professional, and, you offer customer loyalty programs and all of that. So you're a very accomplished entrepreneur. So yeah, again, amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So how are you?
Honestly, apart from running around today, trying to make sure I'm on time.
Yeah.
I guess taking it one day at a time. As an entrepreneur, you just have to keep pushing through it. Yeah, true. No, I totally understand. And it's you do have to take it one day at a time, because if you allow yourself to be pulled in all those different directions, I've had clients be in the hospital for exhaustion, right? Yeah.
And, when you're hospitalized, there's nothing else you can do, right? So definitely taking your time and taking it one day at a time for sure, right? Mm-hmm. And how's business?
So business right now is picking back up. Of course, you know that I'm coming out of my slow season. So in any industry, we have slow season. For the beauty industry, it happens the top of September and then again in January, February, and then picks back up in March and goes all the way till about August.
Okay. Yeah. So January, February is the slow season for you.
Slow months, of course. Everyone has spent their money on Christmas. Yeah. So everyone's like, I don't know if treating self-care is on top of their list. Mm-hmm. And of course, so we'll still get a little pickup around Valentine's Day. We get a lot of couple massages, and we have people coming in as we thank the partners and the husbands for booking services at our spa for their wife or significant other. So really important in February, and then after March break, we're back, right? Get a taste of Toronto weather.
Yeah, I know a lot of my well, beauty clients. I mean, they pump up their gift card services at Christmas just so it kind of brings them along for January, February. But the whole gift card thing is they pay for it before, so they're just kind of redeeming it right at a later point, right? So yeah. And now I know I mentioned a lot of different things that you do in terms of services, but what are your prices compared? Like, what are your pricings like?
So our pricing is pretty much reasonable. We're not on the high end, but we're also not on the low end. So we try to price our services as a modern, reasonable price based on the quality of service we're offering to clients, along with the services that we're providing to clients. So we try not to overprice or gouge at opportunity because we
Yeah.
are in Midtown Toronto. So I
Mhm.
know like we can charge a lot, but I want people to be able to afford self-care.
Yeah, because it's important. You're right. So I do respect that. I mean, I know that we have to survive and we have to make money as business owners. But we also have to be able to, like we want to help the community too as well, right? And now the area that your business is in, now what kind of, is it a very affluent community? Is it, is comparable to other beauty salons or beauty studios there? Are your prices competitive?
My prices are beyond competitive.
The entrepreneur,
Uh,
okay. Yeah.
like when I looked at, I guess my other competitors, they do charge. Some charge a lot more, some charge a lot less. But
Yeah.
again, if it's based on services, right? So, like if I was to look at my prices in terms of nails, it's
Yeah.
competitive. However, I'm not the cheapest there, right?
Okay. Okay.
And that's because there's so many nail salons. So that whole competitiveness is not
Yeah.
going to happen, especially because I'm offering a higher service. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like other services that we offer, it's right in line with what other competitors are offering. And
Mhm.
then I guess for us will be like our brows and our lashes is probably the one that a lot of people are like, okay, you have the best price in town.
Okay. Okay. Amazing. And I gotta ask, I mean, how did you get into this? Like how did this start? Ophelia Maquillage.
Oh my gosh. So first off, uh, being an esthetician was not my first thing that I did in school.
Okay.
Um, so I had went to school. Well, first I left high school and went into the workforce. Then
Okay.
I tapped out. So my boss was like, "We can't pay you anything more because you don't have an education." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh, so what do I do now?" And she's
yeah,
like, "Go to school and find a passion that can pay for your hobby." And I'm like,
yeah.
"Okay." So I ended up going to school for finance, and I then completed my Bachelor of Commerce in finance. During that time, I was doing makeup on the side and lashes on the side. And essentially, that was my part time job. And when I graduated, I went into operations because I'm like, okay, I have this degree, I got to use it, right? And I was on operations in my student union and I really enjoyed it. So I went into operations after. So I became an operation manager for about 3 years. During that time, I'm still working on Ophelia, still doing lashes, still doing weddings, still doing everything. But
Yeah.
I was never happy. I was not happy. I hated all my bosses. They're terrible. Because I
Okay.
worked directly. I know
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, you guys are terrible. Because I worked directly with the boss, right? As an
Yeah.
operation,
Yeah.
you're
Operations for sure.
reporting to the owner. So they weren't nice people, and I had to now be nice to
To them. Yeah.
deliver bad news to good people. So
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I
But so
hated that.
yeah,
Mhm.
I have to ask. Okay, so you just threw me a curveball here,
Yeah.
because, and maybe we should prepare these questions and answers beforehand. But I like an organic show. I like an organic show.
Yes.
But you blew me away now. So you went to school for finance,
Yes.
and
Hence
then
why I
this
have the
was
business.
a side hustle,
Yes.
and okay. So wow. I mean, so okay. At least you have that finance background because that makes business easier. But and I totally understand what you mean in terms of having to break bad news to people. I worked in finance, so it is like that. I
Yeah.
hated every moment of it. And especially when you've been working so hard, and maybe there's a mistake that came from above, but they're never accountable for anything, right? So you kind of just have to eat it and deliver the bad news, and they're mad at you, right? Even though it had nothing to do with you, right? If it was your money, you would be able to, you would want to help them, but it's just working at in institutions and organizations. So wow, amazing. So
Yeah.
you got a bachelor's in commerce?
Yeah, Bachelor of Commerce in Finance,
Wow.
majoring in
Okay,
finance.
awesome. Wow.
So when I was doing that, I went back to school to get a diploma to become
Yeah.
an advanced medical esthetician,
Okay.
and that's what pushed forward. Especially because during that time I was also pregnant, so I'm like, I need to really figure out what am I going to do with my life. Am I going to stay in operations, or am I going to go for my goal and go for my passion? So during my maternity leave, I had the time to really sit back and really marinate and think about this, and that's when it launched. I launched my own studio, my own brick and mortar. Yeah.
Okay, so you have a brick and mortar. You have a location, and I gave the address out already. But, just in case if people want to know, it is at 647 Mount Pleasant Road, Unit 3 in Toronto, Ontario. And that's really good real estate there where you're at. So now I have to ask, because you have a background in finance and you also have a business. So, I mean, I guess people would assume, having that background in finance, you didn't have any issues trying to finance your business, right? Like it was super easy.
No, 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 never. The only thing that saved me is essentially because I worked for as long as I did at that company,
Yeah.
I had a pension. So when I left the company, they were like, hey, what are we going to do with this money that's just been floating around, right?
Yeah.
And because I was going into school, I just kind of left it floating there.
Yeah.
So when it was time to start the business, that came in handy because I had forgotten about it. And because I was like, okay, when I get into my new job, I'll just transfer that pension money to my new pension. But that never happened. Like, they send me a letter like, hey, we need to know what to do with this money. And I'm like, I know exactly what to do with this money.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I was able to use that, and along with my friends and my family, to start the business.
Yeah. So I mean, friends and family, you bring up a good point, is the number one place you go to first when you're trying to finance a business, if you're not self-financing, bootstrapping, right? So you still had to do that. Now, having that background in finance, I mean, I know you said that it was still kind of challenging, but did it help at all? Like, I mean, did you have to go to the bank at all? Like, and you never had to go to the bank. Did you try the bank?
I did. They were not really as open as I thought, but I understood that, again, I'm still a new business.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about their financing with new business. And of course I had a business plan, but it wasn't as intensive as it should be. So I just kept learning as I go. Like, as much as I know enough about operations and how to operate the business, how, like, things that I know I needed to put in place so that the business is protected, so that the business run and is fully operational, I still needed to learn to grow my business. Like, I still didn't know everything. So I just kind of
Okay, so
one day at a time.
So you still had to kind of throw yourself in there, because to be honest with you, there's no amount of school. And I mean, I look towards mentors and my education, and there's YouTube and all that stuff. But you have to be in business. That's the best experience, right? And that's when you get thrown all these different curveballs. So I mean, I would have thought that having a background in finance, the banks would have looked at you more favorably. But was there anything that surprised you about that process of going to the bank?
I guess what surprised me when I went to the bank was I went through it's I don't even know how to explain it, but essentially, I had my credit and everything was it's good. I would say it's fair. It's a good stand-in. However, I had 2 vehicles on my credit, which I wasn't aware of. One of them I can see through Equifax, and the other one, I don't even know where the bank sees it, but apparently they can see it.
Yeah.
And that one, again, it was supposed to be solely through my husband because that's his vehicle, but they threw it also on my credit. So it's both our vehicles. So I've exhausted, and my credit had exhausted everything because I'm not making money in this business. They don't know where this money is coming from. So when I first went to the bank, they're like, no, we don't know you from Adams. So I had to essentially establish myself, and I'm right now establishing the business credit right now. Like I'm trying to get the business as its own entity to build its own self, but it's also still reliant on myself as well. So I have to be, I'm still there, right? It's not like I have a bunch of board of directors, right? It's just myself as those incorporate. So it's a learning curve, but they did say like I'm right there. Like they're like just keep going. They told me some things I need to fix, and so I'm gonna fix those things and go back to the bank.
Yeah, and so you bring up a really good point, and I think that people watching really need to understand in terms of the concept of credit utilization, right? So that's basically your capacity. So when you are, when there's income coming in and you have, debts or payments that you have to make, they always take that into consideration, how much you have left. So I know with my lenders, for the most part, the rule of thumb is 30% capacity that they want to be able to see that you can afford. Now, you bring up another good point when you said that there were two vehicles, one's in your name, one's in the other one's. Now, I don't know why, but it seems like these institutions, even though you give them clear directions on, okay, this is going to be for like me, and this is going to be for him, because it does make sense to split up credit into two different people. And you know this because you're in finance, right? You must have been super surprised when you heard that they had both of them in both your names, right? Or in your name, right? So it's interesting. And the thing is, these banks do that. They're in cahoots with Equifax, TransUnion, and you don't know about what they're doing until it's time to go for credit again, and you see all these crazy things that you have to appeal and take off. Now, building commercial credit, you brought up again, is extremely important. And again, you brought up a great point. I'm glad that I have some of the finance background, because commercial credit it's always tied to your personal credit and character in the beginning. And you try to separate it and try to, build it on its own, but it's very hard to do in the beginning if, you're overutilized. So one of the things I tell people is to always try to see if you can get as many accounts in your business name as possible, your phone. You may even still go to the bank and have a limited commercial credit, right? But you will always be qualified for more through a business if it's doing really well than you would for your personal through your personal. So I'm glad that you're actually doing that, and about building your commercial credit. So you're definitely on your way. Now, I wanted to kind of pivot into the next question, because I see that you have had the business for about 7 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've been at the current location right now for 2 years.
Yes.
So if I have to calculate 2 years from now, we were all locked down, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell me how, with a commercial location, how were you able to pivot? How did you survive?
I probably have to listen to like 50 Cent's song.
Get Rich or Die Trying?
I probably had to.
50.
He got shot a lot of times, but he's still making it. So that.
Yeah.
So essentially, that's what it is. And I know a lot of people who lost their business during the pandemic, and I guess everyone's like, how did I survive? Is like, I have a really great landlord. I communicated with him. I told him this is what's happening. So as soon as I was able to come out of the pandemic, I spoke to him and I gave him a very hefty check, which essentially accounted for the months that were missed. Well, not really missed, but we had that agreement, and he was like, okay, well, if you're not making money, then how am I going to ask for money from you? Right.
Exactly.
So I really have to, be grateful and thank God that I have such a wonderful landlord that said, okay, when you start making money, come see me. Right. And as soon as the doors were open and things were popping, I went over there and I'm like, listen, here is all of the rent that, was supposed to be given to you. And he was very thankful. He trusted me and we had that trust. So that's pretty much how I made it through the pandemic. Is I had to wait. And what made it so crazy is, they release all these COVID relief.
Yeah.
And I applied for these COVID. As soon as it hit, I applied. I was like, I'm in it.
Yeah.
I didn't get that until a year later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I'm hearing people getting it within 2 weeks. They're like,
Yeah.
yo, I got the money. I'm like, how? Why? What do I need to do? I send them my commercial, like municipal license, my provincial, my HSD. Like I'm like I'm ready to send a picture. Like I'm here.
And why is that? Why do you think that is?
I couldn't tell you because when I reached back out to them, I kept following up with them. All they asked me for was, oh, can you send us a bank account? And I'm like, I sent that like already.
It unbelievable. And you know what the crazy part is that, you know, we have organizations right now that are, you know, people are kind of criticizing because they're saying, oh, well, these people aren't handing out the money fast enough. But you have the government and the banks that aren't able to do that anyways, right? So I don't know why people are looking at us like, you know, they expect us to work miracles, but at the same time, you have the banks dropping the balls too at the same, you know. I wanted to go back to what you said about the landlord. So big shout out to your landlord. I don't know who it is, but and shout out to all the landlords that worked with their merchants because everybody went through that together. There would be no point in kicking you out because he wouldn't be able to bring anybody else in. And so he needed rent relief. You know, businesses needed those benefits from the pandemic. So I'm glad that you were actually have, you know, that relationship. But I think the key to it, obviously, because you're a wonderful person, but communication. So communicating in business is the most important. It's one of the most important. It's the key because people can't read your mind, and you know people need assurances because you have bills to pay, they have bills to pay. So communicating is that much more important. So I'm glad that you were able to do that too as well. Now I've noticed one of the things I noticed about your business and your website is you have in-house branding. Right? So you actually have your own branded products. And how beneficial is that to the overall, you know, the overall not scheme, but the overall plan of the business and the operations? Like, does that really make a difference in terms of revenue, income, and credibility?
So it does because there are clients who, you know, they come and they're lost for what do I do in terms of like skincare? What am I supposed to do in terms of like my 5-step plan? How am I supposed to do it? And although like I recommend some products that I don't offer, it's also a good base when I said, okay, how about you start here? Because this is your blueprint and work your way up. So it does help after consultations with clients to say, okay, these are some of the things that you need to get. You can also purchase from us, or you could purchase it from, you know, different stores. I do say Sephora a lot. The only reason is because you can try some of their products and you can obviously see which one you like.
Yeah, exactly.
I try and tell clients like if you purchase my product, I'm happy, of course, but I want you to have the right products for your skin type and what your skin is going through at that time.
Oh, so you don't even, okay. So if you personally know that there's a better product out there for that you don't offer, you're not going to keep pushing them towards what you have. That is what I call integrity. And I mean that right there, because now it's not about the money, right? Because we all want to make money, right? Yeah. It's about your client's best interest.
Yes.
Right? So I have no problem endorsing. I love business owners like that, right? I mean, don't put yourself out of business, but obviously, the client is number one, right? So that's amazing. That's amazing. And now, how did you, like, you were in finance and in operations. Now, was there any other educational or like learned experience that you had in terms of like, you know, like not even a formal education, but how else did you learn? Did you have people in your family in business, friends? How did you learn? No. Wow.
No.
Nobody had first.
No, I pretty much like I had, like, there is a close friend that she has started a business. And so I, like, sometimes when I'm going through it, I'll ask for her guidance because she's been there before, right? So she went through what I'm going through. The good thing, she's like, don't do partnership. Whatever you do, don't get a partner.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So and then of course, like I am around a lot of I guess, more mature individuals. I don't want to call them old, but they know they're old. So they guide me, right? They give me some guidance, and I do have a lot of mentors. And recently I started with the Black Chambers of Commerce, which has been a huge help for me, especially with my business plan and really narrowing down what my focus needs to be on the business. And how to be in business but not actually be the business. So
amazing. Big shout out to the CBCC. If you guys don't know, it's the Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce. They're amazing. I remember I've been a member for 2 years now, and I went to one of their workshops for business plan. It was through the Live Plan, which is an amazing platform. And they're very good at connecting people, and they're doing a lot of big things now too as well. They seem like they got a lot of momentum. So shout out to them as well. You're in terms of, I wanted to go back. So it's to partnerships. I'm guessing that your friend there, she had a partnership that didn't work out, and that's probably why she was kind of So for the people watching, if you don't have a business and you're thinking about bringing on partners, be very, very careful. A partnership is akin to a marriage. Okay. The worst part about it though is, just like a marriage can be divorced, a partnership breakup is worse than a divorce, right? There may be a lot more assets to break up. And then the only people who win in a partnership breakup are the lawyers, right? And then,
right?
So, I had another question. So what have been your biggest challenges?
I think, well, I've had so many big challenges and obstacles I had to overcome. But I remember one thing that my mentor said to me, and my biggest challenge is being comfortable, being uncomfortable. I know, it's like, what kind of challenge is that? As an entrepreneur, you are always put in a lot of uncomfortable situations. It could be with my client. It could be with, again, having the conversation with my lawyer, my lawyer having a conversation with my lawyer about different things, having conversation with my employees are all uncomfortable for me. And I had to learn to be comfortable with those situations. And it was, trust me, when my mentor said that, I had to write it down several times. It is being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, right?
I love that. I feel this, you know what? Because that's what it is. I find, so that discomfort, I liken to, because it's exciting in business, but it's also nerve-wracking too, right? And there are things that you don't want to do, but if you don't do it, no one's going to do it for you. And you do become stronger when you do those things. Like when you have those hard conversations, yes, they might say no, and they don't want to work with you in terms of your landlord, this and that. But there was no way to find out unless you had that conversation, and preparation for the conversation too as well, not just throwing yourself out there. But that's actually some really good advice that I'm going to utilize and implement too. So thank you for that. You should be a mentor yourself, honestly.
Thank you.
Okay, and now, how did you finance your business?
So back to it again, like I had to friends, family. Honestly, I have to say I was really gifted because my friend really came through at the last minute. Like I was like, I don't know, because we're commercial, like even just to get in, you have to do first, last, and security. That's 3 months rent straight out the back, right? So, I never knew that was a thing until when I got in, and I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to have enough? And I said, I'm going to go for it. So I pulled my pension, and then I pulled from my friends, and then I pulled from my husband, and they're like, hey, you have this amount of time. And I'm like, here's your money. Right? I don't want the conversation. I don't want the awkward conversation. Here you go. Thank you. I appreciate it. And she's been rocking with me since, right?
Amazing.
So that was financing. And then further on, when the grants finally came through from the government, I was able to purchase some bigger equipments for my studio.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had to get like the hydrofacials. I got to get the steamers. I got to get the bed. So I have 3 rooms essentially, right? Including like the pedicure stations and the massage room, the beds, like all of that stuff, all cost money. So I had to, again, like utilize like my family income, like my household family income, and along with money that I'm making from the business to just get it up and running.
Yeah. So I mean, okay. So now you had to like almost liquidate some of your pension to be able to. Okay. So because you're right, Ontario is first and last, and a security deposit. And then obviously the equipment. Now, from what I know about the beauty industry, or even the medical aesthetic beauty industry, that equipment is so expensive.
Yeah.
It's like $185,000. Like you might have to take out a mortgage just for the equipment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. So there's that. Now, I talk about this all the time in terms of, you know, the banks. Now, I'm not at liberty to, you know, I mean, I'm very opinionated, but we're gonna keep it a family show. So we're not gonna talk about. I'm not gonna tell about my opinions about the banks. So I'm just gonna keep it very kosher. But it's. I wish the banks could do more, right? I feel that, you know, for mortgages and personal financing, things like that. But I want to see them do more for businesses because we do have an oligopoly. We have 6 major banks. And I feel that, you know, there are other alternatives that do better in terms of trying to help businesses. And it would be amazing if, you know, our banking institutions were able to do the same, or if not more, right? I mean, they're promoting different, you know, events.
Instruments.
Well, you know what? I don't want to get into it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on from that.
I am going to reach out to the bank because there is an equipment that one of the biggest thing that I got into the business is I didn't want to finance any of my equipment. So everything that I purchased at the studio, I knew that if I was like, honestly, maybe I'm not going to do this anymore, I can sell everything and know that it's all my funding. Right?
Yeah, CapEx. Yeah.
So one of the next thing that I wanted to do is there's a machine that is up there in terms of mortgages and how much you're going to have to finance. And it is a laser hair machine, laser hair removal. And a lot of people ask, like, you know, does it work for Black people? And it's a yes and no. It works for some Black people. Majority.
Some Black people.
Yeah.
Like, if you're Jamaican or if you're Guyanese, it works for some, or Haitian. How does that work? How does some Black people? How does this work? No, I'm now curious because I feel like this is a lawsuit waiting to happen for this company that created this. No,
yeah. I think we probably have to go to what's his name? Fitz, the skin type chart.
Yeah.
So essentially, like, although a lot of machines like, oh, it's for all skin type, like you can definitely burn, especially like even for myself, like my hair is like the same color as my skin. So how is the laser going to differentiate if this is my hair or my actual skin? Right. So,
okay.
And that's the thing with a lot of Black people is most of our hair is the same color as our skin. Right? Like if my hair color is black, oh, I'm the perfect candidate. The perfect candidate.
Oh, so it's almost like, okay, so like facial recognition, it's like because the one key, so I guess in the programming of it, it's basically, okay, so hair color, skin color, but it was only programmed to make that differentiation. So they didn't use any other metrics to be able to say, okay, so yeah, so I mean, definitely having to, yeah, I mean, this would be a perfect example of how we need more representation in technology and things like that. So wow, that's so. I'm learning so much. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is a machine that it can go up to skin type 6 that I'm looking at, and it reduces the chance of burns.
Yeah.
But again, it's definitely quite expensive. So so I'm definitely gonna have to go to the bank, which is why I'm taking the steps to really build the commercial credit, because I don't want to put that under my credit because then it's going to skyrocket my utilization. And then if I want to do something in my personal life, I already have this like $100,000 machine
Yeah. Okay. And if the banks are listening, BMO, CIBC, TD, RBC, Scotiabank, if you're listening, National Bank, please make it easier for the businesses to get equipment because we are the economy. Okay. Businesses, Black businesses, Canadian, any business in Canada operating is the backbone of the economy. And we need to be respected like that because if we all shut down, the economy shuts down. The banks are going to cease to exist, So with that said, we have to go for a quick commercial break. We have to pay the bills, and we'll be back with Ophelia Maquillage, and we have some more questions for her.
Ottawa's Black Business Alliance, a place where you can learn to be your own person and build the future you want for yourself. Our mission is to help young entrepreneurs achieve their business goals through the best coaching, managing, consulting, and a slew of other services. Together, we can become a pillar in the Afro-Canadian community. Don't hesitate to contact us through our website at www.oba.ca, and remember that building tomorrow starts today. OBA Consulting. Take hold of your future.
All right, welcome back, everybody. My name is Othniel Adams, again, the president of the Live Lending Group, and we are here. I just want to give a nice quick shout out to BIA Media Black in Action for giving us this platform for us to celebrate our melanated merchants. And our one melanated merchant right now, she's not even just a melanated merchant, she's just a monster merchant. She's the boss of beauty studios, and her name is Ophelia Maquillage. And she's with us again today. Oh, wow. Looks like things. Oh, there you go. And so we were talking about her business. She has a business, Ophelia Maquillage, and it is a beauty studio that specializes in facial services, makeup services, eyelash, nail, body contouring, and massage services. And it's located at 647 Mount Pleasant Road, Unit 3, Toronto, Ontario. And if you guys are in that area, you can give her a call. Her number is 647-512-8925. All right. Okay. So what we were talking about is, the banks helping out more and, being there more for business owners because, again, we are the backbone of the economy. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about, about you and this business. And now, what advice would you give to someone, say, trying to get into the industry?
The same advice I give to my students, which is if you're coming into this industry, you have to find what pushes you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find what drives you to get up in the morning and go and show up. If you're like, honestly, I don't have any clients, you still have to show up. Mm-hmm. Because you don't know if someone's going to walk by or call and say, hey, can I come in? So you have to find what drives you to show up at your studio. If you're doing mobile, you just have to keep going is really the advice. On a side note, I do teach business to aesthetic students, and they always ask, like, how am I going to keep doing this? How am I going to do this? And it's all that nerve. And it comes back to what I keep saying to everyone is you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Starting a business is not easy. It's not like a lot of when you're seeing all these people, they're on their yachts and they're walking around with their Louis bags and I'm telling you, it looks like that. All right. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, Ophelia, you look like you have it all in the bag. No. I have mentors that I speak to where I'm like, I don't know if I should continue. This is really hard. And it's like, yes, it is hard. It is extremely hard. And so my advice is you have to find what's going to make you get up in the morning and keep going. If you're passionate about this, then that's going to make you put your feet on the ground, get dressed, even through hard times, because there's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times and there's going to be real bad times.
Real bad times. Yeah. And you know what? I'm so glad you brought that up because those bad times, man, it's, so I opened up my first business. I was 19 years old. My mom was encouraging me to get a job. And I was like, it was like working in a warehouse or a factory. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So I opened up a store, a retail store downtown Brampton. You know, I had it for like 10 years. But at the same time, my initial thought was, hey, I'm just going to be able to just hang out with my friends, make some money. Like, this is the type of job I wanted. No, I was sadly mistaken. Same thing. I mean, I exhausted all the money I had, right? Renovating it. And then believe this, I went and ordered a bunch of inventory, right? So I had all these, it was a skateboard shop, right? So I had all these clothes and board. UPS guy shows up. So I'm grabbing the box and he's like, whoa, where's the check? And I'm like, what do you mean check? I'm like, after I sell this stuff, I'm going to, you know, I'm 19 years old, right? I'm going to give you the money. He's like, no. This is COD. You have to give the money first. I'm like, I don't have any money. And he's like, well, I got to take the stuff back. I'm like, wait, hold on. And sorry, statute of limitations. This may have been illegal then, but I had to do what I had to do. I just wrote a check. I was like, you know what? I wrote a check. I put it for a few days in the future, and I gave it to him, and he was like, okay. And then I ran around trying to get as much money as I could, and because I think it was like $4 or $5 grand or something like that, $6 grand.
Yeah.
I deposited the money, but at least it cleared. But great. And now the educational aspect, because you were talking about that you teach people about business. So is it just in business in general, or is it about the aesthetic part of it?
The aesthetic, so business and aesthetics. So I teach at Bryan College. And what I do is I try to get students to understand that although you're going to be an esthetician or a medical esthetician, you now need to know if you're going to be an employee or you're going to be the employer, right?
Okay.
So there's two streams to the course. So I teach them, again, if you're an employee, these are things that you got to look for. But one of the most important things that I teach them, and I want everyone to know, is before you get a job, and I always tell my friends this, calculate what's your living expenses, right? What are the things that, your rent, maybe you're someone that wants to go to dinner every day, or you don't cook, or whatever the case is. Calculate all of that, right? Calculate all of that. And, there's a website that I give them, and I said, okay, we'll plug it in there, and it will tell you like what salary you'll need in order to maintain that lifestyle that you have, right? And so when you're going in for a job and maybe it's 66,000, right? You need to have, because your net is this amount or whatever the case is, you need to be able to negotiate that 66, because if that doesn't work, then you're going to be living, paycheck to paycheck or whatever the case may be, because you're not going to be happy. Yeah. So I tell students, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, an employee, know how much you need to survive before just applying for a willy-nilly job. And, as an entrepreneur, I tell them that it's hard. Right? Your paycheck, your paycheck comes based on the work that you put in.
Yeah.
So if you don't put in work that day, you're not getting paid. Right? Some of the things that I tell them that they could do, which that I implement for my studio, is subscriptions, right?
Okay.
Everyone's talking about subscribe. Everyone hates subscriptions, but it's what's keeping a lot of business in business, right? So I'm like, what? I'll offer you some discount, but I'm gonna need you to pay a monthly fee for that. So that at least if I'm not going into work, at least my business is making some money. Are generating some revenue. So, you got to think of creative ways to make money when you're not making money until you're not the business. Right. And when they start out, it's really hard. And I always tell students, like, don't give up. Right there. If you go down a grocery store and look at all the bottled water, there's a lot of different bottled water. And if you turn on your tap at home, it's the same thing they're putting in there, right? Someone decides that they're going to pick up a bottle and put the water in there and sell it.
Yeah.
So you need to figure out how you're going to sell your water differently.
So how, if let's say people want to take the educational course that you offer for aesthetics, how are they going to, how do they do that? Where do they go?
So again, once you're in the program to become a medical esthetician, like I will definitely be your.
And how do they sign up? On the website?
Just like with any college, right? You go in, you have your transcript. You can get your OSAP if you wanted to. Like you literally go in as.
What about you though? In terms of like because I said that you teach like aesthetics and business and stuff like that. So let's.
Yeah, at Bryan College. So that's what I do on the side. So there's something called.
Oh, you're like a professor. Yeah. Okay. Excuse me. Wow. All right. Yeah. So, and this is brand. So what is it called? What college?
Bryan College.
Bryan College. Okay. Yeah. So for the viewers out there, if you wanted to learn aesthetics, as well as, the business side of it, from the employer side of it. Check out Brian College and Ophelia Humphrey, Professor Ophelia Humphrey. She's gonna be teaching classes there, and and the business background. So it's amazing that you teach the entrepreneurial side of it too as well. Because I mean, you can go get your MBA all you want, but unless you're in business, you're never gonna know how it runs, right? So that's amazing. So wow, okay. And now, what were some of your most memorable moments as a business owner?
Oh, when I made my first 10K.
Woo! Wow, amazing.
I know. It was probably like the greatest feeling.
Yeah. Did you go buy bottles? What did you do when you go?
No. What's silly about it is I didn't realize that I was making 10K because my expenses were so high.
Oh, okay. I know that feeling. You get to celebrate for about 3 minutes, right?
I did celebrate.
I
did celebrate. I went with my best friend down to a store and purchased something quite expensive.
Okay. And you need to do that. It's so hard in business that going out, like having to spoil yourself, you have to be able to do that because you need to celebrate those little wins, right?
Yeah.
Because, like you said before, you did mention something where you get in what you put out. Like, you get out what you put in business. Yeah. And I remember when I had my store, like 19, 20 years old, there would be times where I'm online, I'm posting stuff, I'm doing all this. And like you said, January, February is the hardest time. Not even my friends are showing up, right? Like to come and just hang out at the store. So there are times where you put in the work and you don't see the immediate return from it. So when you do get those really good months or those really good times, you kind of have to go and celebrate and enjoy it because that's what's going to push you to get right back in there and work harder, right? So that's amazing. And now, what would you describe as who's your perfect client?
There are a few perfect clients that I have.
Okay.
And I love them to death because I see them once or sometimes twice a month. Mm-hmm. They're like my perfect client. They come in. They're always on time to the point that they're so on time.
Yeah.
That they come before their time.
Yeah.
Right? She's like the perfect client because she's always on time. Before she leaves, she books an appointment. She doesn't step out that door before she books her next appointment. She never misses her appointment. She's not even caring about any promos that I send to her where I'm like, hey, you get 25% off if you come in. She's like, listen, I don't care. I like you. You do good service. I'm showing up. Like, this is it. She leaves.
Wow.
I swear to you, if I have 25 of those clients, I am.
You're good. You're good. You're good. That's amazing. And now, what did you do? I know what you mean. Now, I consider those A clients and B clients and C clients, and there's a way to kind of categorize them. C's will come by once in a while. You can't really expect them to come back. Your B's come by once. They come there twice in 6 months. And you try to get them to become A's. A's, you have to kind of preserve them, right, too, as well. So I wanted to find out, how what do you do different? What is it that these clients will say that you do that your other competitors don't?
To be honest, it's really my integrity.
Oh, right? Wow. Okay.
I'm not gonna stare my clients down a road that is not for them.
Yeah.
I've had clients where, of course, I do like microblading, right, and it's great. And clients will be like, oh, Ophelia, like, I want to do microblading with you. I think it's great for me. And I'll look, and if you have brows, I'm going to look at you like, why? Why do you need it? It's like, if you didn't have any eyebrows, of course, we could structure the face. But if in the morning you just need to pencil it in, you really need to go through this treatment, right? And with clients, like, I'm always checking in to making sure, like, I'm always asking them, like, hey, is this what you're looking for? Yeah. Like, we're having a good conversation. And I always let them know that I'm okay if you have to tell me that, honestly, this is not the look I was going for. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I'm not going to take it anyway, because at the end of the day, you're the one wearing it, right? Mm. Either that's makeup or that's lashes, that's microblading, that's, what I did on your skin. it's your body. So
Yeah.
I always tell clients, like, communicate with me and let me know. And that's really what it is. Like,
Mhm.
clients come back because I'm very open. Like, they know that, hey, Ophelia, you know what? I kind of wanted to change this. And some clients were like, oh, I'm so sorry. But I'm like, you don't have to apologize.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the service provider. I want to make sure that you're happy with the service that I'm providing you. Right. And so that's really how I get my A clients, right? I make sure that if it's a new product, I'll tell them, hey, I know you're used to this product. However, the supplier is not coming through. So this is a new product. Let me know how you like it, right? Versus me just using it because I'm like, hey, it is what it is. I'm not going to do that, right? I'm going to let them know this is something new. Let me know how it is so that they're not like, this is different. And they can't figure out why it's different. So it's always going to be my integrity why I have my loyal clients. And I have some 7-year strong clients that, still show up, and I'm grateful for them.
And you know what, and you did touch on this when you talked about your in-house branded products, and it may not be the best product for your clients. And I mean, you obviously want to sell your in-house products, but you bring up a really good point, because I've noticed now in my field, I have, I have a bunch of different lenders, several lenders. Some are, very, the long-term and reasonable rates. And then some of them are, not so reasonable. And I'm careful, because there are times where people just want it. They really, really want it. They may even get upset that, I'm trying to dissuade them from taking the money. And, I have to sleep at night. And the most important thing to me is business, right? So the most important thing for you is your clients. But I want to keep businesses, going. I don't want to be responsible for someone having to shut down or not being able to make their payments. Because one thing I do know is that any business owner is going to do anything they can to keep their business running, right? And so if you put something that's extremely expensive, but it's going to tie up their cash flow, and it might kind of put them out of business, them getting angry at that one point is but if they push enough and they say, like, I need it, you gave me the offer, I'll try my hardest to dissuade them, right? Also being honest and telling them, this may not be the good thing for you, and maybe you should go to the bank. That works miracles, because I mean, 80% of the time they go to the bank, and the bank takes too long anyway, so they'll come back. But for the most part, integrity, you're right, is another key. So communication and integrity. So you're hitting all the nails in the head. So that's amazing. And so now, where do you see your business in, like, say, 5 years?
In 5 years, where I like it to be, but realistically, logically, in this economy in Ontario, I guess I do want to have, in the next 5 years, to offer laser hair removal. I know that's something that's on my top of my list. So there's more services I want to offer, and I'm hoping to get a bigger space. Because I do have, and that's the thing with, you have to, you have to negotiate your lease. So I have, the good thing about my lease is I have the option where I have a break. So I have a 3+2. So it's 5 years, but I have a break at 3 years. So in 3 years, I can decide if I want to take on the next 2 years at the same rate. So we negotiate the rate. So I knew that inflation is going to happen. Stuff is going to happen.
For sure.
So I was like, no, we decided today what I'm going to pay 5 years from now. So, I have that opportunity to see if I want to stay at the location or take the break and try a new location. So I'm leaning towards a new location, but to be honest, I really love my landlord, and I wouldn't want to leave. The neighborhood, they're starting to get to know me. So it could be something wonderful. So I just have to keep going. I am a new business. Although I've been doing it for 7 years, I'm still officially a new business, and it does take at least 5 years to grow.
Yeah, you're right. It's and you know what? That is priceless. The relationship with the landlord, I think my second landlord was a bit more strict in terms of my because skateboard shop. There's a bunch of teenagers and they're always doing teenage things and stuff like that. So definitely, my first landlord didn't care. The second landlord, they were a part of a REIT, a real estate investment trust, and they were a lot more strict. They even hired a security guard to chase the kids away. Yeah, it was mayhem. So there's a lot less headache because in business, the less headaches you have is probably the most important thing. So that's good. And a bigger space doesn't necessarily mean better, right?
Yeah.
And I got into a bigger space, my second location, but I had to sweep the floors more. I had to find more inventory to fill spaces, and I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So we have about 5 minutes left. I know you talked about mentors, and that being like their kind of like your core support too as well, or some support. But what, in your opinion, is the key to success? I mean, we talk about communication, we talk about integrity, but what would you say is the main key to success?
The main key to success. I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't want to be giving people these keys and I don't even know it myself. The main key to success, I guess for me personally, is apart from the drive to keep going, wishing I had like some rich uncle that would be like, yeah, take your drink.
Man. Oh,
you know those rich.
Yeah.
That would be great. But to be honest, in terms of the key to success, I couldn't really tell you if it's one thing. It's so many things that you have to do to be successful. And I'm still learning. Like there's people say, you got to wake up in the morning at like 6 a.m. in the morning. You got to, health is wealth and all that stuff. You have to be reading at least 5 books once a month and all these different things. There's so many different you hear it all the time. Like to be a perfect entrepreneur, you have to be up at 6 a.m.
a year.
You got to be at the gym, working out. You got to go to bed. You got to eat a healthy breakfast. You got to read. I'm being honest. I struggle sometimes to get up, and when I am up, it's probably because my brain is on. Like you got to get up, and you have 50 million things that you got to get done.
It's the entrepreneurial alarm clock where you wake up, but then something hits you. Bam! Oh, that bam! I mean, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know. I may be Luke. I know Luke he's kind of mad at me. I know I hit him up sometimes at 4:30 in the morning. Yeah. I think for a while he didn't talk to me for about a day. I hit him up. I was like, "Oh, we gotta do this. We gotta do that. We gotta do this. We gotta do this." Right? But I mean, some people, especially my friends that are employees, they don't understand. So, it's just, so you think it's a lot of different things. It's not just one thing, right? It's a lot of
different things, right? Yeah. Like sometimes I struggle with not procrastinating, right? I've been working, like it's so many things that, like, what's the key to success? Not procrastinating. Like there's so many different things. Like you have to be successful, you really have to know yourself. I'll say that, like, you have to know yourself, know what you can and cannot do. I've pushed myself to a lot of limits. I've pushed myself to my breaking point. Some of my friends are worried about me. They're like, Ophelia, please sleep. So, and it's just because you want it so bad that you're willing to essentially sacrifice your health, right? Because you're like, I gotta work all the time. So the key to success, I guess, it's a lot of things, and it's all personable.
And I, you know what, I appreciate that answer because it's true. I mean, I'm interested to see what person would say, because I'm learning too. So I look at everybody. I mean, we as business owners, I think we learn off each other. You could be the biggest mentor, but I'm pretty sure my mentor has mentors, and I know that to a certain extent there's times, because we can all learn off each other too as well, right? But not procrastinating is a big one. Getting stuff done when you can, because in business things will just kind of fly at you, right? So whatever you can handle and take care of, do that, right? And whatever comes up, you can handle right then and there. But so I totally agree with you. And honestly, Ophelia Humphrey from Ophelia Maquillage, it's been a pleasure. This has been a great. I mean, this is only our second episode, but this is, I love all our guests, and I love talking to you. So again, everybody tuning in, if you're in the Toronto area looking for a beauty studio, there's a huge reputable one, Ophelia Maquillage. You can find them at 647 Mount Pleasant Road, Unit 3, Toronto, Ontario, and give them a call, 647-512-8925. And you can go online here. The website's at the bottom, opheliamaquillage.com. And so I'd like to really thank you, Ophelia, for being our guest today, and sharing your experiences and your keys to success and telling us about your journey. And I'm interested to see where you are in the next few years or so. And I'd like to also give a shout out to your landlord, your mentor. A big shout out to BIA Media, Black in Action Media, for giving us this platform for In the Black, getting Black to business. So we celebrate our melanated merchants. And and so what we're going to do is we're going to be here next Wednesday between 5 and 6 p.m. with another one of our merchants, melanated merchants, and we're going to explore them too. But thank you again, Ophelia. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. What I wanted to say is there is going to be a competition, a draw, and we are giving out 10 free promo videos to any entrepreneur. What you have to do, though, is you have to contact us at info@livelending.com and tell us about your business and tell us why you believe that you should be on the show. And we're going to have a magical draw in 4 weeks. So 4 weeks from now, that's going to be in November 2nd, okay? So November 2nd, we're going to pick out 10 merchants, and we're going to give them a free promo video. So until next time, guys, stay Black. And we're going to get Black to business.
Welcome to BIA, Canada's top Black media provider. Whether you're looking for shows on fashion, art, music, or simple lifestyle, we bring you the best content the Black community in Canada has to offer and so much more. And better yet, do you have an idea for a project you'd like us to help you with? We provide equipment, studio, and office space, as well as a team of dedicated individuals to help you bring those ideas to life. So don't wait. Check out our new website at biamedia.ca for more information on how to contact us and start creating today. BIA Media, your way.